But we can still have these casual conversations. There's
Oh,
nothing
okay.
nothing wrong with it. We don't have to.
This thing got quiet. Like,
Yeah,
testing 1, 2, 3.
mic
Testing.
check.
I'm ready to talk
Yes,
about this DeMarcus Lawrence thing because I posted those two things that y'all sent me, right? I
right.
posted immediately to my page and I just put thoughts. And they jumped on hard on that DeMarcus Lawrence, and a lot of people like don't want him back, and that's the problem with us Cowboys.
Yeah.
Don't want him back at all, or just don't want to give him a long term? Because I want him back at least on a franchise.
Well, see, they're all like, prove it, prove it. No, you ain't worth it. You ain't worth it. You only did it 1 year. But if you really look at his career, now I've been very hard on DeMarcus Lawrence, but if you really look at his career, I mean, his second year, he did get 8 sacks, and he did get them in like consecutive games. Like he went on a sack streak, just like he went on this year. It's in 2015. I mean, when he got hurt in 2016, I mean, he had the drug suspension, and then he had the back injury. So that back injury, I mean, he had 2 consecutive back surgeries. His first year, he broke his foot, so he missed the first 8 games. You know what I'm saying? So, and then after that, he really didn't show until the playoffs when he got the big sack on Stafford and then came back with Rodgers. So it's not like he hasn't done anything. The biggest thing for him has been his health.
That's not bad at all. So yeah, that's good information there. All right, so what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna let this room fill all the way up to the bottom. Then we're gonna kick the show off. So we need some more people to come in, or unless you guys come in enough to fill it up to the bottom, then we have started off. Okay. But
right.
Topics for today, we're gonna talk a little bit about the D-Law. We're gonna talk a little bit about the free agency acquisitions. We're gonna talk about what Stephen Jones is running his mouth about, right? We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Jason Witten too as well. Reliable, right? I won't see how long I can hold that note.
I was actually starting to just wonder if the mic was freezing up.
He's doing it like, I know.
I can hold that note now.
Now I can hold a little bit too. My mom used to make me hold it. She's like, see how long you can go. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, this room filling up, y'all. Shout out to Partel
We like
in the
that.
house. Yeah, Q Baby 04. Shout out to you, Benjamin. Dion Sanders Prime Time. Dion is in the house. Chris, I see you. Ron Smith. Okay, let's get this thing started. My Cowboys family, you guys go out and support his channel too as well. All right, we're gonna get this thing going one way or another. Let's go. Let's go. Yo, we back in the flesh, man. So let's get this thing going. What's the first topic you guys want? I'm gonna let you guys do it this way. Let's get this thing going.
I mean, you already know what the topic of the day is right now. They're talking about their franchise and DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, that's the biggest thing that's going on right now. We were just talking about it before that I posted on my page, my Big Game James page, and I just put thoughts. What do you think about franchising him and then possible long-term deal, but franchising him for this year? And I was just hearing a lot of people were just like suspect on DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, they felt like he only had 1 year. They didn't want him really to take up the cap space because it is a guaranteed 17 mil. So it is going to take up more cap space rather than a long-term deal. We can spread it out and you'll have more money to use. So a lot of people, I guess, are frustrated because maybe we can't get a free agent or free agents that we want if we tag him because that's a guaranteed 17 mil. But at the end of the day, if we really look at it, DeMarcus Lawrence, I mean, it's really been the injuries that's really hurt him. I've been critical, but if you really look, it's been the injuries that's really hurt him. When he's been healthy, he had 8 sacks 2015. He had a couple big sacks in the playoffs his rookie year. And then, yes, it's just like us having a job, Law. If you're at a job, right, and you're performing, you're okay there and there. And then basically your job is like, okay, you want to get a big bonus, you got to really work hard. So guess what? That 1 year or that month or two, you go hard and you perform because you want the money. It's just like any other job. So it's why we can't really get mad at DeMarcus Lawrence saying, oh, he just doing it for a contract. Well, wouldn't you do it as a person or a player too? You trying to get your money. It's your 4th year. If you don't ball out, you don't get paid. It's a quick league in a year. You can be gone next year and they never see you again. So they do have to get their money. So yes, he is going to try to ball out to get paid. There's
That's
nothing
real
wrong with
talk.
that.
Real talk. But look, hold on. I forgot to do this. I apologize in advance. But look here, guys. I forgot to say this, man. My brother from another mother, no other. Don't look like Danny Glover, but keep it cool for us. Man, tell them where they can find you at, bro.
Hey, Big Game James, you can check me out. I got on Facebook, Big Game James page, and check us out on Silver and Blue Nation. We've been going strong for about almost a year now. It'll be a year, I think, next month. And if you want to check out the shows, we go live every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on EBSN Online. And we're just talking Cowboys football, trying on the latest and greatest. And you got time to talk on Cowboys football? Hey, come holler at us. We're keeping it real over here.
Come holler at us. And this is the Dallas Prospect Show. We talk about just about everything from A to Z with the Cowboys. And we're going to branch into some more things too as well. If you are a writer, if you write, if you have the ability to look at film and talk over film too as well, hit us up too as well at theDallasProspect.com, where we can see what type of skill set you have to bring you into the mix. So we're looking for talent out there. So if you have those type of skill sets, there will be some things that are coming into the mix, so you can join the team and get things going in the right direction. But now we can get things going. We have Derek too as well in the house, but he's going to be in the background. He's doing his thing too as well. Derek, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
See, he's here.
See, he like UKC, so he really gonna talk a lot tonight.
y'all see that mic when he talk. Y'all see when you see the mic, that's him talking. Okay,
he's diabolical.
All right, so let's get this thing going. Now I'm gonna tell you what my thoughts is on this D-Law situation. Don't call me a scaredy cat, but it's one of those things where I'm sitting here saying that every time we pay every time we pay somebody with the Cowboys, I don't know if it's a black cloud, or I don't know if we curse, but something happens outside of the offensive line. Something happens. I remember when we paid Miles Austin, what happened? I remember when we played. I'm talking too fast. I remember when we paid Rocket Ismail. Y'all remember him? That's way back. I may going too far back. Y'all remember when we made the move and got Roy Williams? I remember Joey Galloway, the other Roy Williams, the safety, when he got his second contract. This type of stuff, man, I don't know what it is with my Cowboys. And I can throw in Tony Romes too as well. When we paid him that $105 million contract, he played 3 games and broke his collarbone or something like that, or broke his pinky. I just can't remember what really happened, but we paid the man the money. Then all of a sudden, and we saw what happened with Desmond Bryant. We gave him the money, and then what happened? So I don't know if whether or not you pay D-Law, if he's going to stay together, if he's going to show you the same type of production. I'm saying, like, here, man, I may have to say, I don't know, man.
No, you got to
break it down to me. Break it down to me, man. Scared money, no money. I know it say scared money, no money.
You can't do that, because see, here's the problem. If you're thinking that mentality, then it's the same mentality. Everybody's frustrated with Stephen Jones of why we don't go out there and get free agents, because we're worried about, are they really the real deal? We don't want to put that money in you, and then you fail us, and then next thing you know, we're stuck. Yes, you got it. You worry about it, but at the end of the day, we've been screaming about having a war daddy. We've been screaming about having a player that can make a difference. And now we have a player who got 14 and a half sacks. He had 1 year where he did have 8 sacks as well. Now we have a person who's a war daddy who's still only 25 years old, going into 26. He's not like he's old, he's young. So yes, hey, if they're going to tag him, let him. This is another prove-it-year deal. If he comes in and balls out again, then hey, he deserves to get his money. And now we have a solid war daddy, and now we don't have to worry about one side of the defense. And now we can concentrate on building up Taco. We can concentrate on those other people, because now we have them set in stone. These other teams do it. You can point to Olivier Vernon. When he came over from Miami, he played 4 years. He only had 1 good year, I think double-digit sacks, and he's the highest paid defensive end in the league.
So what Olivier Vernon stats look like? I'm not a stats muncher, but what does his stats look like last year? I have to say this. What was his
got to check him. I don't think he wasn't a big time. Derek might know.
Yeah, so for his last 2 seasons in New York combined, he has 14 sacks. So Lawrence has 14 and a half last year alone.
But then again, 14 sacks. That is pretty.
By the way, they have the same agent, Lawrence and Vernon, and the salary cap from the time that Vernon signed his deal to Lawrence signing his is going to be 15% higher. So they're going to angle probably around that 17 million per year. And that would be probably in D-Law's mind being a little generous.
Man, I just don't know, man. I want the fans, the people out there who support the Cowboys from A to Z. I want you guys' thoughts, man. Whoever watching this video, I want you guys to post. Do you really want to reach into your pockets to pay D-Law, or do you really want to say, hey, prove it to me one more year, let me know, put it in the comment box or chat box, or however you want to put it. But me personally, what else do we have out there as an option? And I'm not saying get rid of D-Law, because I love D-Law's skill set. And trust me, I was one of the guys. I'm going to sit and I'll raise my hand and say, I doubted him. I doubted him just like I'm doubting
him too.
You did too. So
I doubted him too. I was very critical of him this year because he was the main one jumping out there saying, I'm a 10-sack guy. He said it in preseason training camp. He said he was a 10-sack guy. And I wrote an article about him on my page about, you know what, show us, because you only had 9 sacks in 3 years. So you do need to prove it. I don't want to hear no more talking about what you're going to do. Go out there and prove it. And guess what? He went out there and proved it. And even though it was a contract year, he still went out and proved it, because there are players that in a contract year, they don't play as good, or they don't make it, or they show what they are. So at the end of the day, yes, we probably are worried because back injury, or but like I said before, we can't look at it like, well, he hasn't been producing. When he's been healthy, he has produced. What we have to look at is his injuries, and that's the biggest thing. I don't think that you can say he hasn't been productive when he's been healthy, because when he has been healthy, he has been productive.
I'm trying to find an argument, but I just can't pull it out. Maybe and I can only go by past history, right? And I can only go by. We were burned by the big free agent pick with Brandon Carr. We was burned by Brandon Carr.
But here's the thing, though, Law.
Go ahead, talk to me.
Think about it. Brandon Carr came from what? A small school,
right?
And he really didn't. If you really look at his stats, he didn't have tremendous stats at Kansas City. I mean, 3 or 4 interceptions. He wasn't dominating. The problem was we were fiending, just like what happened with Byron Jones. We were fiending for that corner. So as soon as somebody came out of free agency that was decent, we're going to pay him, because we just need to put that position so everybody can kind of be quiet. Because remember how everybody was yelling how we needed a corner? And then that's why we went out and got Brandon Carr. So we overpaid him, because everybody's saying we need to go get a corner, and they just jumped out there and grabbed him. The same way with Byron Jones. Byron Jones was not an elite safety at UConn. He was a good corner, but we wanted to push safety so hard. We needed a safety so bad. He looked so good at that combine. Okay, we got our safety now. Everybody shut up.
Yeah, so D-Law, obviously with him, he's had the 2 back surgeries, but he's still 25 years old. My thinking is, if whether you're doing the franchise or a long-term deal, he's wanting 17 million. If you franchise him, you're basically paying that anyway. I would like to see one more year out of him before shelling out a big contract. But if they do lock him up, and it's a little bit like the structure of it is a little bit team friendly as far as being backloaded on the money, then I'm okay with that at that point, because again, at 25 years old, even if the back is a little bit of a concern, you're not talking about a guy who's 28, 29 right now, and you're trying to imagine him being still explosive and having that same leverage and bend, in year 3 and 4 and 5 of the contract.
Well, let me ask you guys this question right here, right? This is just us going back at revisionist history of this. Didn't we try to make that gamble with Tyron Crawford? Was that the same scenario, but we just jumped on the gun and paid the man the year before he was able to was up for his contract? It's kind of like if we made the money or made the move for a long-term contract with D-Law previously, like 2016 or what have you.
We also messed up Crawford by moving him around positions all the time.
That's the problem we did with Crawford. We should have just kept him at D tackle, 3 tech, D tackle, and we should have left him there and not touched him no more. because that's where he was doing good. When he first came out of Boise State, they had him at defensive end, remember, and he wasn't doing good. Remember, he was always just getting there. He was almost getting there, almost getting the sacks. Crawford almost getting the sacks. They moved him to the inside where he was quicker and he could use his quickness because he didn't have that speed off the edge. You even watch him now; he doesn't have that tremendous speed off the edge. He's a very try-hard person, but he does have a quick first step. So they slided him in at the 3 tech, and then you saw potential. So then they were like, okay, he's looking good. He's young. Let's go ahead and throw this money at him. But then you start moving at defensive end, then you put him at tackle, defensive end. Now it makes it look like he's not the player that he could be because you're moving around too much. And just like what we're talking about, they don't want to move around Layout Collins. They want to put him in a certain spot because why? Because it messes you up. Just like when they're talking about with Byron Jones going from safety to corner. They're worried about doing that. So why did you do it with Crawford if you're worrying about doing it with Byron Jones and you know daggone well he looks like more of a corner than a daggone safety?
So pretty much, man, break it down to me. What money is D-Law asking for? Is he asking for his counterpart money, the other guy from the Giants? He's asking for the same thing?
He's asking for $17 million per year. That would put him. I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's the word. I don't know if he spelled that out specifically, but I know he's wanting, plenty of security with it. So that would be my guess. In Vernon's case, he got like $52 million guaranteed of his deal, and his was, I think, an $85 million deal over 5 years. So D-Law, I've seen several different estimates for him. Let me try and pull up that note I took earlier on it. There was a couple different kind of predictions on what they thought his contract might end up looking like. Let me find that real quick.
I think you're looking at a 4 year or 5 year deal. But at the end of the day, when you look at DeMarcus Lawrence, yeah, he might end up, let's say he end up being the highest paid defensive end. Guess what? Next year, you're probably not. Every year that you're the highest paid, you're not going to be the highest paid next year because somebody's going to trump you. So we shouldn't just go out of crazy because after 2 years, you may be third down the list on being the highest paid. Then you might be looking like a bargain after 4 years. You know what I mean? So just because those numbers look crazy now, those numbers are going to be looking crazy after a couple of years because somebody's going to catapult you, but somebody's going to ball out and get that money too. I mean, you don't have to produce a lot as you see as these contracts. Garoppolo playing 5 games, being the highest paid player, quarterback. Are you serious? So they're going to do it. That's what's just going to happen. Somebody's going to trump you next year.
So I'm seeing predictions with 5 for 77 and another one 5 for 85. These are like the predictions. So the first one would put you about $15.5 million a year. That would be assuming the Cowboys kind of reel in a little bit of that expectation and actually at that point get a friendly deal, I would say. And then the other would be keeping right at his desire for $17 million a year.
That hurt in my pocket, and I'm not even paying for it.
Tyrone Crawford making 10.
That hurt my pocket, man. I'm not even paying for it. I say it again.
Tyrone Crawford making bread. Yeah. Tyrone Crawford is making bread right now. And I think that's why everybody's frustrated with him because he's making like 10 million a year and it's counting against the cap. But like I said, has it really been his fault? No, then if they would have kept him at defensive tackle and seen what he could probably do staying there, but they did not. They continue to move him. Now you got Malik Collins. Now it's hard to just keep him there because they couldn't sit when Malik Collins came in his rookie year and balled out. Now there was the dilemma because Malik Collins had to start at the 3 tech. That's what Crawford plays. So now you had to slide him out to the defensive end because we didn't have the other players. And so that's hurting Crawford because Crawford is not an elite defensive end. Those are just the facts.
So with this being said, I'm going to have to say this. What would Bill Belichick do?
He figure it out and he win. He probably make him better. But that's what we lacking too. But that's a subject for a whole nother day.
Oh man, I figured Bill Belichick would figure out a way to get 2 first-round picks of the second round.
He knows how to win deal.
Well, I don't know, man. But what we do with David Irving? What would you do with him? Tender me.
Here's my problem. Here's my dilemma with David Irving. I was thinking about it on the way home. I was driving. I was riding home. I was thinking like David Irving. Why are they hesitant? So then, you look back when he was at Iowa State, he got in trouble, got kicked off the team. And then, that's why he went undrafted. But then when you just really look at when they say, I've been looking at articles and saying, well, Dallas doesn't have players that that been in trouble or acted wild or crazy, but it didn't matter because guess what? They produced. So why should David Irvin be different? But I think I'm not saying this, but just my deep opinion is that I think why the word is because I wonder if David Irvin really loves football. Because you don't never ever hear David Irvin saying, I want to be the best football player. You hear David Irvin interviews, he's just kind of just, he just, I'm just, yeah, this got this kind of happened to me. And yeah. So if we're hearing that right, and I don't know how long the concussion was, I wasn't there, but that was a 5-week concussion. You know what I mean? Maybe David Irvin was like, I'm still, my head hurt. Maybe I don't want to play. How do we know that he was like that? And they're like, you know what? We know you're all world talent, but we don't want to pay this money to you because you might not really love the game. We
I would
rather
be
put.
I would be surprised if it was him just wanting not to play at that point, because with him, even though it's like a restricted free agency, basically, it's still a chance for him to make millions more dollars by playing in those final few games and to have a chance at getting into the playoffs still. So I'm still a little hesitant on that. I definitely question his dedication, but I don't know if I would say that he intentionally set out or milked his injury or anything.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he milked no injury. I'm just saying that if they're hesitant to give him money, and the biggest thing that they've always said about David Irvin since he's came to Dallas is consistency.
You
That's
know
what the
what?
one word they always say about David Irvin: consistency.
Consistency. You know what this reminds me of so much, and it just seemed like the same song and dance, the same story. Reminds me so much, and this is going to be reminds me of the Ron Leary contract. I said in 2016, before that year started, let's just go ahead and tender him, get a second round draft pick from him. You see what I'm saying? And I was going back and forth. I wish I can pull up that tweet. I tweeted out to Mike Fisher, and he was like, "That's crazy. You can do this, you can do that, you know." And if you guys remember, in 2015, I think Ron Leary got outperformed by Lyle Collins, and that whole mess or whatever happened. In 2016, I think Lyle Collins started, but he got injured, and then Ron Leary got back in that position. It just so happened that we ran off to a good or winning start or what have you. So it's just one of those things where I would be hot as you know what if somehow, some way, David Irvin just slipped through the cracks and we get really nothing but a compensatory pick from him.
Well, let me ask you this, Law. I'm gonna ask you this, and Derek, I'm gonna ask y'all this question. Do you think that if, let's say, we tendered Irvin and got, let's say, a second round or whatever, and he went to another team, do you really think he'll go to another team and be dominant over there for years?
Well, you just question his hunger, his appetite, right?
Yeah.
So, and then didn't we go out and draft a number one defensive end and tacos, you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully this taco get more seasoned, and then also hopefully they go out and they pick up another guy in this defensive draft this year. You see what I'm saying? So I think that the writing is on the wall.
Yeah, for me, I mean, if I think he would go elsewhere and still be a force for years to come, I don't. I mean, when we say years to come, if we're talking about the next 2 or 3 years, I could certainly see that. I think in terms of the guy's talent, now his health was obviously a question. If his concussion was legit, and it was, I mean, not like legit. If it was as legit as bad as it was made to seem towards the end of the year, then there might be questions on that front. But I think as far as his athleticism, his size, all of that, the guy is like a unicorn in terms of his rarity for that type of a player to be available at that age, already that groomed. I mean, you saw last year how much of a wrecking ball he could be. D-Law was already a force and a monster in those first few weeks, but as soon as Irving got there, suddenly we were talking about the defensive line is like the strength of this entire defensive unit. Now, later in the year, we were starting to say, hey, these cornerbacks are coming along too. But I really think that you got to have a 1-2 punch. And I think if you're looking to contend right now, it makes more sense to keep Irving than it does to try and develop someone new out of the draft or something like that.
Now, I must say, I'm all down for keeping Irving. It's just one of those things where if the Cowboys roster, if the Cowboys decision makers are not they don't have all their chips in on this, then we need to get something from it. But the thing is, this defense with Irving, I'm talking about pound for pound. If it's like boxing, pound for pound, right? His production when he was out there on the field, one can argue and say it was better than D-Law's.
I mean, if you're looking game per game production, I mean, even if you looked at the defensive tackles, I think they had a stat where they David Irvin's stats in the games he played against the top defensive tackles in the league and their pay. And they're making, Fletcher Cox, those guys are making 10. Aaron Donald, they're balling out as far as money and per game. I mean, he was dominant. He only played what 7, 8 games this year, had 7 sacks. I mean, that was ridiculous. When his first game he came in, he had 2 sacks against the Green Bay Packers. You know what I mean? So the dude is all world, and in my heart, I wouldn't want to lose that talent because you just don't find 6'7", 290-pound men like that can just can change a whole defense and just change the game of what you're trying to do. But when you still worry about those dedication things, those things that you can have that talent, but if you're not dedicated to the game, it doesn't matter about that talent. It's been shown time and time again in the NFL and NBA. If you have that talent, but if you don't stay dedicated, it doesn't matter.
Right.
No
Well,
doubt about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think we've pretty much covered everything on Irving. I just think that for a short term thing, I still think it's a shot you got to take, even if the guy is a bit of a problem child, even if he's a headache and all of that. I do believe that there is a caliber of player that you will put up with the headaches as much as possible for. I mean, for a lot of his career, obviously, T.O. would fall into that category. Obviously, eventually everyone said, it's not worth it anymore.
But let me ask you. But let
But,
me ask you this though, Derek. You say that, but what was the one of the biggest thing that why they tolerated To? Why he got contracts?
because he scored touchdowns and
But they said he was
was,
one of the hardest working players on the team, and that's
yeah,
why
that too.
they tolerated To because he worked his butt off. Some players that
Fair
you've
point.
seen probably in the NFL that you tolerate because they go hard, they don't take plays off, they practice so hard, they are always in tune. So that's a player that you be like, you know what, I don't like you, you get on my nerves, but you know what, I need you on my team because I can count on you every week. I can count on you every week to bring it, and I know you're going to be there for us to take us to the next level. And that's why some players are tolerated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practice and focus and all that's great. You want that. You want your hardest working guys to be your best players and all of that. But if it's something where it's still showing up in game and the production's there, any level like we saw for when his first handful of games, especially last year, then I still think there's some room for it. So it all just depends on what the deal comes out to. I have a feeling Dallas is going to keep like a second round tender on him, and it's going to be something where they probably just let someone sign him and they'll take an extra second round pick and call it a win. And a lot of your point earlier about drafting another defensive end. I don't know the status of this guy, and I know he's been asked about a lot, but obviously, you still have other guys out there that are a question mark, like Randy Gregory and everything like that. Who knows when he'll ever see the field, if he'll ever see the field again.
My goodness, I
But
forgot all
that is
about
another
Randy.
guy you have
Yeah.
stored out there.
Charles Tapper,
Yep,
too.
that's another.
And Tapper, my goodness. We forgot about those two guys too as well. Actually, Maxwell questioned in the chat box too as well, because we pretty much answered all the questions as far as the defensive front. Besides, was it Collins? I think that he should show up better this year.
I think he's going to have a better
yeah.
year. I think that injury, he had a foot injury second half of the season. I think that really affected him and him playing out of position. He's not a one tech, not at all. He is not that player. He's never been that player, and he just needs to get back to his natural position and be healthy.
Yes, indeed. So even with that being said, another thing that we need to pull up too as well, Maxwell question was about how valuable, and I want to ask you guys, how valuable is Hitchens? Anthony Hitchens. How valuable?
Well, I wrote an article about him where I don't want him to leave because I feel like I like his leadership. He's just one of those guys that you're never going to talk about, but he's always going to be there. He's been there since his rookie year. When Sean Lee blew out his knee, he stepped right in as a rookie and down there played all 3 positions and was very effective. He's one of those guys you never talk about, but he's always there. And we really didn't see his value until he got hurt in the preseason and Jalen Smith had to come in there. We needed Hitchens. I know I was waiting, looking every week for that injury to hurry up and heal because we needed him. But at the
Yeah.
same time, he's not an all-world player. He can be replaced. Uh, I don't think he's going to come back.
So with the Colts having $70 million worth of money to throw away, you can throw him to sink, and they can say, "Okay, we're going to put him in our defense," and that's one puzzle that we don't have to worry about finding. A piece of the puzzle that we don't have to worry about finding, right?
Yeah. Stephen Jones said on Hitchens earlier today, he said that, quote, "That's one we don't want to let get out of here." So Dallas is interested in bringing him back. It's just going to boil down to what the dollars are going to come out to.
You
Mhm.
can't fight against 70 million. That's the only thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And security too, because think about it, if they keep Hitchens, what if they draft a linebacker? What if they happen to get a linebacker high in the draft? Now you wonder, okay, where's Hitchens going to play? Where's Lee's going to play? Where's
Hmm.
Jason Smith going to play? There'll be more of a log jam. You probably wouldn't draft maybe a linebacker as high if you kept a Hitchens, because now you have your solid three there. Where if Hitchens is talking about leaving, you instantly have to get after a linebacker. Watch those things you need to address anyway in the draft.
Addressing things in the draft. Speaking of Stephen Jones, Derek, talk to me about what he said about Jason Witten.
Yeah.
Oh, reliable.
All right. So there was a function earlier tonight. It was something, I actually can't remember exactly what its name was. It was named after Witten, some award thing earlier. And reporters were talking to Stephen Jones while Jason was within about 3 feet of him. And so how much of it was kind of said kind of in jest, I don't know. But here's the exact quote. So when asked about the prospect of drafting another tight end this year in the draft, Stephen Jones said, quote, "Are you kidding me? Did you just ask me that? Every time we've drafted a tight end, Jason Witten has walked into my office and gone, another wasted pick. So I'm not going to start doubting him now. We feel good about that position. Obviously, Jason Witten is more driven than ever. I'd never bet against him. I don't think anyone in this organization would. We've got some good young tight ends. I won't say it too loud or he might grab me right here, but that's what makes Jason Jason. He's the ultimate competitor, and of course, we just love him." So I'm hoping there's a little bit of
Mhm.
just kind of playfulness to that,
I hope
but
it is too.
yeah, because they need to look at his replacement. And yeah, we have a couple young tight ends, but I mean, if they don't have much faith in Rico, especially, then what really do you have behind him?
Nothing.
I mean, they have just a bunch of okay guys. They don't have a guy ready to step in and be any kind of offensive weapon for them, really.
We need a dominant tight end.
You know
Hmm.
what?
You know what I'm saying?
I hate this one word that he said out of this whole thing. He said, "We love him."
Yeah, that's what.
That
I
sounded too
would.
much like Jerry Jones, huh?
You know what I'm
That
saying?
sounds so much like Jerry. And when you love a
Law.
player, I know you finna explode, but when you
When I
start
heard
talking like that, when you start talking about I love a
that means
player,
you're untouchable. That means you're starting the whole year.
start. Yeah, I mean you look.
You're not losing your spot. That's what that told me.
And you know what it tells me too as well. If you ever watch, this is a movie reference right here. The Faults Beyond My Stars or something like that. She loved the guy unconditionally, or he loved the girl unconditionally. So when you start talking about love,
We just,
LOVE,
and the way he said it, we just love Jason.
just love, whole reliable. You know what I mean? So it's
He
gonna
ain't
be
going
one of those
nowhere.
situations, man. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, come on, man. Like, and here's the thing. Here's the problem. You know how we talked about it already? It's like
Hmm.
you can't say one bad thing about Jason, and it's just the real. Like, guess what? He's getting old. I mean, his stats are right here. I mean, yeah, he went to the Pro Bowl, 63 catches, but for under 600 yards. I mean,
Talk to me. Is that out of reputations, or what is that?
8.9 yards a catch. I mean, average 1 point yards a carry after the catch. I mean, and it wasn't one of he at the before midseason, he was one of the worst blocking tight ends per Pro Football Focus.
Mhm.
So it we hold him in this. Oh, Witten. But if you really look at the game, it hurts us. We need a dynamic tight end that can come in and do what we need to do and spread that field and make us dynamic. You see these tight ends. We saw Zach Ertz. If you ain't been seeing these tight ends that come in and Ingram, I mean, look at Ingram. I mean, your boy from Washington who always is hurt. He's nasty when he's ever healthy. I mean, that tight end can change the game. And at the end of the day, we can prelude into the Rico Gathers thing because this dude is just, to me, he tripping.
And break down what Rico Gathers is tripping about.
He tripping. I mean, he tripping because it's like, and then I don't like when these guys jump on social media and be like, "Oh, y'all hating on me." Nobody's hating on you. Okay, stop saying that. Stop saying people are hating on you. You are putting a bullet or a bullseye on your back because now you're coming out there saying, "I don't even play basketball. I don't play basketball. I barely play football. You ain't never seen an athlete like me. I'm gonna come out there and be the best tight end in the league." That's all good. But guess what? And then you're talking about you're making records and come check me out on the record deal. That's all good. That's all good. But guess what, Rico? You got smacked by Kayvon Frazier one time and you was done.
That's what I'm
You
talking
know what I'm
about.
saying? And you ain't played in no regular season games, and it's going on year 3. So at the end of the day, I don't really want to hear that. I want to see you get on that field and do something. And guess what? If you get a hamstring injury or anything, what's going to somebody say about you? Oh, making them records. Oh, if you get smacked again and you don't come back in after 2 games. Oh, thinking about them records. You know, why bring all the attention to you? Just be quiet like you was and stay humble and get out there on that field and make a difference.
That's why it goes back to this right here. The person with all the heart, soul, and passion that put it out there on the field, and you don't hear nothing about him. That's number 50. If number 50 had, can you guys imagine if Sean Lee had Jason Witten's health? What would this team look like? He don't do none of that
I would
talking.
have liked to have Sean Lee in 14 against the Packers.
Yeah,
That would have been nice.
Man, I mean, just how you saying that, Derek. Think about the difference he would have made. We probably could
Oh
have won
yeah,
that game. We probably could have
yeah,
won that game because it was the little things that beat us in that 14 game. It was those little
man.
small things.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking like if they had a healthy Sean Lee in 2014, that's probably a Super Bowl team, like
Yeah,
Super Bowl champion team.
and then I probably would.
Be easily in that like top 2-3 teams, I think. And then you add in like literally the best player on your defense and a quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. That's that's a massive difference in that rest of that playoffs.
And I wouldn't be bashing Jason Garrett as much.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
man, oh man. But it's just one of those things, man. So what can we do to make this team better? I know we talked about the cons and pros of a player, but what do we need to make this what we need to do to make this team better?
I mean, to me, I just feel like we just need to be consistent, man, but not consistently like mediocre or average. We just I mean, it starts from the top. I don't really know law. I just feel like we have this talent. This is it's been a while. We built this talent, since 2010, and I will give Garrett his props. He did build this team the way you want it to be built as far as the offensive line. He has structure, so I cannot dog him on that. He has structure. He has built a good team. I mean, we are a team that can contend every year for playoffs and Super Bowl. We have a type of team we can contend every year now. I think the problem is now is we have to take it to the next level as far as our coaching, the players. We got to get serious. And that's where it comes back to me with Charles Haley saying Jerry built a house with a bunch of damn losers. It's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. And when he's talking about the mentality, when he listen what Haley says, he was saying the truest stuff in the world. He's saying teams don't fear you. He said it. Teams ain't scared of y'all. Ain't nobody scared of the Dallas Cowboys. And see, that's the problem. We think Cowboys think people are scared of them. No, they're not. Nobody's scared of y'all. Okay, so get that mentality out your head and start coming in. He said guys were doing gassers and they're getting gassed after 20 and 30 yards. He's saying they're coming back from next year after 13 and 3. He said our teams worked harder. When we had that loss, we would have came back harder. He said this team came in like, yeah, we're just gonna do what we did last year. And it was true. If you looked at our team, it just really looked like we came in like we were just gonna do the same thing. And it wasn't true. It's like we got to get the mentality up in that building that look, we ain't them same Cowboys no more. We
Mm.
like everybody else. So we need to act like everybody else and grind hard and stop thinking we just the Cowboys and we gonna walk in there and teams gonna lay down on us. It's not happening. This ain't them '90s no more. We need to show and prove.
Show and prove. So, Derek, do you have like any stats or any records showing what our records are after a winning season? Do you have any of those numbers there?
I can pull them up real quick, but I
Yeah.
know I mentioned this, I think, last time we were on. I think it's like 2008, 2009, I think was our last time to have, I think it was either 10 win seasons or just winning seasons back to back. So we've been hot, cold, and it seems to always be an even numbered year that we do something. So let me pull that up, and I'll get back with you on a sec for that.
I mean, doesn't it almost seem law that when every year that if we have a good year, that like just like I was saying, the trend says with Garrett that this year that he's going to have a good year. So that's where I get kind of worried because it's like if you have the good year and we fail again in the playoffs, are you going to get an extension because you made the playoffs again and you had a positive record? And that's going to be 3 years of positivity records, and people are up top are going to look at that and give you an excuse.
Well, that's going to be one of the things. I think I saw somewhere out there that we had the 15th top, or I guess 15th hardest ranked schedule. So hopefully from there we probably win more games just off of the strength of schedule alone. So if you're talking about Jason Garrett putting his team in the right position for this year, I'm predicting, and I just hate to say this, but it may just be another 12-4, 13-3 type of year. Believe it or not, I'm
I
saying
know
it
it.
first.
I feel it.
It's just one of those things.
We're going to bounce back.
Jason Garrett on even years got a spectacular record, So it's just one of those things.
Cowboys haven't had back-to-back 10-win seasons since the 90s. And as far as just back-to-back winning seasons, they had 05 to 09, where they went from 05 forward. They went 9-7, 9-7, 13-3, 9-7, and 11-5. So that's the last time that they put together a streak of consecutive, technically winning seasons. But if you want to talk about 10-win seasons back-to-back, then we're looking mid-90s.
Mid-90s. My God.
95, 96.
But I mean, what's been our mantra? It's just like something always happens to us. Just like when you were talking about law, when you was like, when we sign a contract, it seems like somebody always gets hurt. I feel like, man, are we cursed right now, man? Like, are we cursed right now? Because it seems like always something happened to us. We get a nice lead and some of our team comes back on us. Like, I don't want to see that anymore. I'm tired of our team having this talent. And this was another year where we should have did something, not to lament on it, but this was a year where I felt like this was our year just as good as anybody else's year. And even 2018 is our year is just as good as anybody else's because we can beat any team in the NFL. We have the talent to beat any team in the NFL. And I feel like it's time for us to go in there and not just do it against these regular teams, do it against these tough teams and dominate them, not just always waiting till the fourth quarter on the edge of our seats, biting on our nails. Are we going to pull this out? It's got to be sometimes where we could just coming in and finally getting our mantra that we had. If Jason Garrett had that mindset of building them teams from the 90s, then get that mindset that he had in the 90s, and let's go in there and beat these teams like we're supposed to and not lose games that we're not supposed to lose.
Well, that's what I thought about. If we just figure out a way, we top 8 in defense. If we can just get around to like 2 or 3, right, overall in defense, and we know that this running attack with Ezekiel, if he can stay off the field, troubles off the field, and just stay focused on football this year and try to get back to the tops, then the problem that a lot of people are lamenting about or saying about the Dak Prescott can't throw the ball and this stuff, I'll give you that. I give them that little small, critique. But if we run this ball and we have a top 5, top 3 defense, then we should make it at least deep into the playoff. And then we need to have some way, somehow, Jason. I'm seeing a lot
That's
of people
where
put
coaching
Jason.
comes.
A lot of people saying Jason Carrot. They're not saying Jason Garrett. They said Jason Carrot. Whoever coined that phrase, shout out and salute to you. I forgot what your name
That's a
is.
good one.
Jason Carrot. But what they're saying is his adjustment, whenever he comes to that point, He just have to play. He have to coach his best of the best football, or we have to make zero mistakes, and we have to figure out a way to get to the Super Bowl. I know I hate to say the Super Bowl when we have yet to play a game yet this season, but I'm still optimistic about this 2018 season because for one, it's an even year. For two, we got to show some way somehow to pull something out. We just can't just be America's team, just being this 8-8, 8-8 feel. Although we didn't go 8-8 last year, we went 9-7, which we should have went 8-8. Because if we fool around and get a horrible draft pick with this pick, I'm really gonna look at that Eagles game differently.
Yo, I just want us to get back to the NFC Championship, man. I'll take
Right.
that. I mean, we hadn't been there since what, 95 either. So yeah, same deal. I just want to get to that point. It's been 20 plus seasons just to get there, let alone to the Super Bowl.
But Derek, I'm greedy, man. I'm greedy, man. I want to get all the way to the Super Bowl and win it.
I wouldn't say no to that.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
indeed.
just I feel like you know what, it's time. Cowboys fans are hungry, and I'm tired of hearing these other fans and just talking this trash to me and running their mouths. I'm tired of hearing them everything. I can't even argue with nobody anymore because the first thing that come out their mouth is 20 years. That's the first
Yep.
thing that come out their mouth. They don't say nothing else to me. They just say 20 years, and there's nothing I can say back.
Nothing we
Like
can
real,
do to
like
say
real
back.
talk. Like there's nothing I can say back. What can I really say back? What? Oh, we was 13-3 in 2016. Oh, we won 2 NFC East championships, and they're gonna say, "What'd you do in the playoffs?"
You can ask them. You can always ask them if our championships were so long ago, how come they haven't caught up yet?
I feel you. I feel you. But I like Law said, I'm greedy now. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
the type of guy that okay, we have them 5 championships, but you know what? I coached for a long time too. And as a coach, you can look back and say, as a coach, yeah, I won a championship 5 years ago, but I'm not feeling good about them championships I won 5 years ago. And if I'm not doing nothing right now, what I did 5 years ago, I'm in my own head questioning because everybody's gonna be looking at me. Yeah, you got them championships, but then you got to. It's every year you got to reinvent yourself. Every year as a
Yeah.
coach, you have to reinvent yourself. You can't just come out the same way every year. What you did last year and you were successful at, you still got to go in that lab and change up everything because now you're the hunted. Everybody's gunning for you. And the fact that we're the Dallas Cowboys, we're already getting gunned for. So now, if we have winning records or are running through teams, teams are definitely ready. So we always have to have the mentality of getting better and always want to learn and change up things and not be the same way because you can never be the same way because people will figure you out quickly, as you saw.
Yeah, you preaching to me now. So shout out to Italian Cowboys for coining the phrase
They
Jason
said,
Carrot.
Carrie, tell them to make that. Tell them to make a
Jason Carrot.
mem.
Somebody
They're
make
gonna
some
make a mem.
t-shirts, make some memes out
Yeah,
there.
make that carrot top right there, boy. I'll buy that T-shirt all day.
But the thing is with this, we forgot to talk about this and we kind of glossed over it. Or let's say, for instance, we do sign D-Law. What's the ramification? What money do we have left? Because I'm tired of this measly little $19 million that we have. So if we sign him up, what we have left to play? What's next in our bank? Who
That's
can go
Derek
out and
stuff.
talk? Derek, what we got, man?
Repeat that last part. Sorry. I was
So
trying to look up something for us.
yeah. The thing is, if we sign the ramification of signing D-Law, what will we have left in the bank?
If they
I mean, right
franchise, if
now,
we franchised them.
yeah.
Franchise them,
I mean, that's still pretty much all our cap room right now. Talking about this offseason, I think we have like 17.8, I want to say. And franchising would be right about 17, I believe. So, I mean, as it
But
stands right now, that would pretty much be your moves, I think.
Somebody
well,
put
let
in
me
there
ask you this
2 million.
because then they've been talking about restructuring Travis Frederick's deal because
Yeah.
he just signed that deal and Dallas is good for restructuring. They definitely said they didn't want to touch Tyron Smith because of his back, and you don't want to restructure him because you don't know if he's going to play. Uh, you can restructure Deb, but I don't know if they want to do that because of what can happen. They could still cut him, which I don't think it can happen, but you could save money there. They said Benson Mayoa, who I don't think needs to really come back for us. You can cut him. That's going to save money on the cap. Orlando Scandrick, if you cut him or maybe get some a trade, you can get some money freed up that way. And I said, I'm not beating up the Cole Beasley thing, but I still feel like we need to get something for him. I feel like we need to do something with that and get some capital back from him.
Man, we don't wheel and deal, man. We don't wheel and deal out of
Well, that's what
Texas,
we need
man.
to.
We
That's
don't
when you
wheel and
talk.
deal,
So
man.
that's when you talking about law. When you saying when you was mentioning Bill Belichick and those guys will and deal every year. They're
Be-
coming in with that mindset. We willing and dealing. We trying to make this stuff happen.
because Robert Kraft ain't out there talking about, man, I really love this guy, you know.
You said about Tom Brady now.
Well, you
That's
can say that about Tom Brady now.
but you got
Tom
Pop.
Brady is Tom Brady, you know what I
Right.
mean? So that's the problem with us all together collectively. We get this situation with we need more money, and then if I mention this, if I start talking about, hey, what about if we get rid of Dez? I'm gonna have 1,000 hate mails in the mailbox before I can
Oh
even
yeah.
wake up in the morning. So it's the
Exactly.
problem with that. You know, I know for sure. I can tell you right now one thing from this. Bill Belichick or Bill Belichick, however you want to call him, he's not paying Dez. He's not gonna pay him. He's not gonna pay old reliable. He's not gonna pay that man no money. He would have been got rid of Skandrick. Come on now. But we want to win Super Bowls, but we sitting here looking at what other teams are doing, and then I have somebody smart and come up with all type of statistics and stats showing that why are we trying to be like another team? Why not try to be like the teams that's winning Super Bowl? I'm greedy. I'm hungry. I want to win right now. And you guys can tell right now I'm getting elevated and I'm getting mad about this situation because I'm tired of being mediocre. I'm tired of us doing the same old thing over and over and over again, and we not getting the results. Guys, let me just calm down.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm about to rile up around here, boy. You just
I
don't
mean, what
know.
you're saying is true. I mean, that's why I'm frustrated. I'm mad as hell. Like, I'm mad as hell because I'm tired of seeing teams that I don't feel like are better than us are going to Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls. And I'm looking at the Eagles. Yeah, they were good, but we could beat y'all. Y'all ain't that tough or that sweet that y'all can't beat. Y'all ain't one of these dominant teams that everybody's going to look at the Eagles next year. They're the most dominant team in the NFL. No, they're not. The Eagles are not the most dominant team, and there's nowhere even close to that. They're a good team like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You got lucky you didn't get to play them Saints because I feel like Drew Brees would have ran up in you and got you. So you're really not that scary. And I'm tired of us, like you said, Law, being mediocre. We have the team to win now. And I told you, I'm tired of wasting years on good players like Travis Frederick, Zach Martin. Them years go quick. And a year in football to me is like 4 years, dog years. You add years quicker. So you have to win now when they're young and cheap because those guys, when they get older and the contracts come up, it's harder to keep your team together with the salary cap.
True.
It's just one of those things. The salary cap era is just horrible, man, for us. I just the bottom line. It's just the salary cap era. It's one of those things. Could we fall in love with players?
Yeah, well, like you said, we just love Jason.
Yes, indeed, man. So that's just one of the things, man. I just had to get that little, I guess, thing off my mind when we talking about well, how can we improve this team? What direction do we need to go? And this draft, since we're gonna be left with $2 million, shout out to I think Cowboys Legend 27 said we'll be left with $2 million. Those funky $2 million, we got to figure out something. You know, if we're gonna build this team through the draft, then how much faith are we gonna have on this draft selection? I do know that my
Better
guy,
hit on it right.
I know he been hitting on the players, but it's just one of those things where we losing so much money right now with Randy Gregory not being able to play, right?
Mm.
We're losing so much money with that, and then the growth and the development part of Taco. If he don't show up next year, then it's gonna be one of those things where we're gonna say, "Hey, what if he's like D Law? What if this third year he's gonna just really blossom to this guy?" You know, so we got to figure out a way to really hit on these guys coming up this draft. And whether it be defense, whether it be offense, I'm leaning more towards defense coming with the 19th overall pick. But if we don't hit on this defensive guy to solidify this defense to get us at least to like top 2, top 3, I'm just gonna really just explode, you know.
So this is going to be the first year that Gregory's contract has a little bit of weight behind it. Previous seasons, 2015, 693,000, 2016, 365,000, 2017, 258,000. This year, it's 1,213,000. So his deal, it's definitely lost because you're getting nothing out of it, obviously, but it's not like a backbreaker essentially.
Well, and I've been hearing I've heard a few. I was on Twitter. I'm on Twitter every day, but I think a week ago, I wish I could pull it up, but I saw where they said he was working really hard to really start to get, put that ball forward as far as the reinstatement. So
Hmm.
I really want to see, what happened with that. I think it may be coming up soon with the reinstatement. I think if he can really get reinstated, I think Cowboy world will be excited. So, it's funny how everybody talks about Randy Gregory and hates on him, but I bet you what, I guarantee you what, everybody, all them people that said cut him, and he comes in there next year and is able to play and come balls out, gets like 11 sacks. All them people that said that trash about him ain't gonna say nothing.
Well, you're right. We ain't gonna say nothing, but it's the same thing about he gonna
You'll
hush.
have
He gonna
half the
hush us,
people
but
say, yeah, you'll have half the people say,
Uh-uh.
and I knew he had it in him. He had it all the
Right,
time.
right. I know he was there all the time.
I was always in his corner.
and then somebody gonna still say, "Man, that brand high."
Black lips.
Yeah, the black lips. That's why I be scared about Zeke. I was like,
Hey,
man,
I
Zeke.
say, what I see Ray Gray, I said, man, he getting high, man.
He look like he high, man. I'm just
He
like,
look like he
man,
high.
that was a $600,000 blunt, man. He rolling up,
Man,
man.
like, wow.
Man, he loved that blunt, man. And it's just one of those things whereas we sitting back saying, okay, we see the potential. We looked at his tape from Nebraska. We saw what he can
He was
do.
nasty.
And then they drafted a guy that was with him, Collins, So we know what them two can do, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get this on this next level,
I mean, think
So
about it, Law, when we
mhm.
drafted him. You remember when we saw him in the preseason, how good he looked? Like, okay, he had that get off, and even that Giants game before he got hurt, and he had that ankle injury. He was out like 6 games his rookie year. That first game, he was all in that backfield after Eli. He didn't get any sacks, but he was putting pressure. He was in that backfield, and you were excited. And when I heard that he got hurt after that first game, man, I went in depressed mode because number one, I was worried about him falling off because now you got too much time on your hands. You got 6 games where you ain't doing nothing. If you're playing football every day, maybe it keeps your mind off of slipping and falling. But now you got all that time to rehab, and maybe you get depressed because you're not playing. It's easy to fall into that.
Look, man, let me tell you this right now, man. When he had to hit his ankle sprain or what have you, I
Mhm.
said, Lord, please don't let it be a high ankle sprain. Don't let it be a high ankle sprain.
Right.
And then when it's a high ankle sprain, I knew how many weeks it was gonna be. I said, he finna smoke a blunt,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
the
like,
first thing he done.
he
First thing
finna
he done,
roll one.
I was like, his season over. I was like, his season over.
He finna smoke one. He finna fire up that J because I already knew that he was gonna do it. I sitting there saying
Yeah,
like I know because he played pretty well
yeah,
that
yeah, he
Giants
did.
game. He was
Yeah, he did.
flying. I was like, man, that's
He was
gonna be
flying around the
us,
ball.
man.
Yes, yes.
And I was thinking, I was
You
like
tell me you
him,
ain't geeked up, Law.
and,
You ain't
and
geeked up when you saw that.
I just knew I was looking at Greg Hardy's film at the time. I was
You
just
was
like,
like, oh my
oh
God, we
man,
about to be
Randy
nasty.
Greg Hardy, this finna be like the Dallas defense that I know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then
And then we came crashing down.
and I saw how the player he pushed him behind him. The Giants player he pushed behind him and he rolled up on his ankle. I said, "Oh man, come on, man! I know he finna fire
No,
up that
no
J."
lie.
And it's
Mhm.
just like, man, we got bottles of VSOP, at the house, and you talking about you putting that in the freezer or what have you. And if you at the house long enough, you look in that freezer long enough,
You're drinking it.
you gonna pour up that drink.
You're drinking it. Don't tell me you ain't drinking. And you put. And here's the biggest thing. Me and you
Right.
average. I mean, we go to work. Everything. These dudes playing in the league, so you really feeling like they really feel like they untouchable. That's just the way it is.
Mm-mm. And it's just crazy, man. It's things that it's a plant, and I understand that a lot of people it's a sticky topic for a lot of people because I'm not promoting people go out and take marijuana and do drugs or what have you. Kids stay off the weed, okay? I'm not saying that because I try to keep everything PG-13, but what I'm saying is. Mama, I love you because my mama watched this show. Mama, I love you. But I'm telling you right now that it's just one of those things whereas I wish the NFL was with the NBA policies and the NHL and the baseball policy. They don't test like the NFL does. And think about this collectively. If you don't put your stuff out there, then you won't get bad press. You won't get bad publicity and all this stuff. It's just
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, it's but you know what? It's also those unions are a lot stronger than the NFL unions, and I think that's what the biggest problem is with the NFL is that they don't have a strong union. I mean, even with the contracts and the money, you see how far back they are as far as money. Even though it's a big contract in the NFL, it's small on the scales of NBA or the major leagues. Even in hockey, those contracts trump the NFL by far, and I feel like physicality is in the NFL is the worst. of all of those sports. But though that NFLPA needs to really step up, and these upcoming negotiations, and really needs to be about them players this time, and they need to really make some moves, and they really need to take a stand on what they're really trying to make, because if they don't, the owners are always going to win.
But my thing is this, and I know we about to almost trying to close it out, but my thing is this with the NFLPA. They're in bed with Roger Goodell. They got to be in bed. They have to be reading from the same hymnal, because there's no way in life the NFLPA can look at what happened with Ezekiel Elliott. And we know as Cowboys fans, we out here seeing that we don't hear nothing about the Hunt kid. We don't hear nothing about the Jarvis Landry. And what's going on with the NFLPA? Why are they not out there saying, okay, why are they not voicing their opinions, their thoughts, their mind, putting this stuff out there on the ether so that the NFL can be answering these questions? Why are they not saying, okay, why are you not doing what the right hand is? Why are you not testing what the left hand is doing? Why they're not just trying to be out there like we are? You see what I'm saying? If I'm making sense, I hope I'm making sense to you guys,
You're making perfect sense. It's all about them dollars. That's what it's about, just like you said. Man, who knows? It's a crooked world, Law. You know that. Politics, everything. You don't think, if you're looking at the politics, you always see somebody in politics getting caught up. You don't think them politics is going on in the NFL. You don't think them guys is cutting deals doing. I mean, that's just what it is. These guys do those. I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm not putting out there, but you don't think that those guys don't do those things and everything is, oh, we do the right things here. Come on, man. That's a lie. You don't do all the right things there. And just like you said, how can the NFLPA not say one word when they were going hard on Zeke? Like, anytime that he went and got an approval, they were already sending the letter like, no, we're going against you again. And then just like with these last few incidents, y'all ain't said one word. Y'all ain't been in the press. Like, y'all ain't said a word. Y'all ain't said, well, what about the double standard? Well, what's going on? How come we're not investigating this or really looking into this? They ain't said a word.
It's just one of those things where I'm sitting there like,
you took your 6 games, now be quiet and like it.
It's just one of those things. Man, it's just like Monopoly, when you have just one, like Walmart, for example, they goes into a smaller city, it just take over all of the mom and pops, and everybody like, dang, let's just vote to have Walmart not in this small city, let's just vote to not have, because Walmart is just going to dominate. It's going to put everybody out of business. And that is what the NFL is doing. They know that everybody is the cream of the crop. They only got 17 games. They're trying to make it to like 18, 20 games, but they only got 17 weeks, 16 games that you play out of a season. And that's why they pretty much they bring in the most revenue, and they don't play their players, and nobody get guaranteed contracts. And every year, we don't know what the actual salary cap number is going to be. So they pigeonhole us, and we're sitting here thinking like, okay, we trying to do the right things, but we look at the teams like the Colts got $70 million, don't they? And we just only got $2 million. I do know that we got contracts out of the wazoo, but it's just one of those things where I'm sitting here saying, is the salary cap really working for the NFL? Because if you think about it, the last teams to win the Super Bowl, haven't it been the same teams? Haven't been the same teams going in and out of the playoffs and the Super Bowls all these years?
I just don't never understand how we don't have no daggone money. And I be seeing these other teams that be having records like us, and they be spending. And I'm like, how do they still be finagling this cap? But we don't have no money. Like the last seemed like 4 or 5 years, Law, we ain't had no money. Like we ain't be able to get nobody.
They pay Romo twice.
We restructure all the time. Right. We always restructure deals, which pushes the money back. You're kicking the can down the road, and so you wind up with a bunch of dead money and guys that aren't either able to still play at that level or something to that effect. That's just how we've managed things for so long, and that's ultimately why we never seem to have any free agency money because we just keep restructuring guys and kicking the can down the road. And I think that's part of the problem for why I think that's the other half of the equation, not just, what we know about the Brandon Carr free agency thing, not really working out like we wanted for our $50 million. I think it also kind of shows we just don't give ourselves the flexibility to even be in the discussion most of the time.
Yeah, you're speaking a lot of truth on that, Derek. Because I looked at
super truth.
Yeah, I looked at overthecap.com and I said, we still paying Miles Austin? I said, Look on overthecap.com, guys, and look at the players. I'm sitting there like, we still paying, we paying Miles Austin, man.
We paying Romo, we paying Carroll, we paying your boy that went
Exactly.
to Buffalo that we cut him, the defensive tackle Cedric Thornton, we still paying him. There's a couple other players that we're still playing. And just like you said, Derek said 100% true. We're always restructuring the contracts. It's almost like we signed the deal to almost know that we're going to restructure this deal. Like we're signing this deal almost knowing that in a couple of years we're restructuring.
I've literally heard that point made before on like the Fan and things like that, where they say, you know, when they sign something like, oh, well, they're just going to restructure in a couple of years. I'm like, that's not the good approach. That's not good business.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just keep bringing stuff up on the credit card and think it's not going to eventually come due.
Yeah.
Man, that's one hell of a price to pay, man. It was just a good little thought, man. Just me just thinking about this cap thing altogether. But that's pretty much everything from here as far as what we have for this show today. Any other thoughts, any closing remarks, Big Game?
Oh, no, just forever grateful to be with Dallas Prospect. You know what I'm saying? You know how you always bring it. Love how you bring it. Just all your work, Derek. Just 100% respect and everything. And just appreciate y'all showing me some love.
No doubt, man. Plug that channel again, man. Where they can find you at, brother?
Silver and Blue Nation. Check us out every Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're on Facebook Live. We also got the Facebook page. You can also check out Big Game James. Got my own page, doing some little, some little things here and there. And then got some writings coming up with Dallas Prospect. Derek opened the door for me right there. So, hey, just grinding out here, man.
Yes, indeed. And Derek, talk to everybody about this Dallas Prospect.
So the website is theDallasProspect.com. We are a sports and pop culture website with an eye towards Dallas sports. That means you get your Cowboys coverage, your Mavericks, your Stars, your Rangers, all that. We even got Big 12 football and all that. We're always looking for contributors, whether you want to write, whether you want to do a podcast, or you want to do video analysis, kind of like Law does. Whatever, man. If you're interested in kind of joining this new network, we're all for it. We're listening to all people interested. So if you want to join us, help us become the biggest and best independent sports media thing in Dallas. Hey, man, welcome to the team.
Welcome
I like
to the
how
team.
he said that. He said independent, biggest and best and independent. I like how you said that, Derek.
Yes, indeed, Derek. You dropped the hammer on that. So yeah, hey, with that being said, do you have a contact us on the link to as well on the website?
On the website, we don't have a contact thing.
It's a direct email. What's that
just
email?
if you want to reach out, if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at thedallasprospect@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on our Facebook page, The Dallas Prospect, as well. Just give us a shout there. If you got a sample piece you want to send us, that'd be great. Or if you want to send me like a link to a YouTube video, that works as well.
Oh yes, and then what's going on next month? Got to tell everybody what's going on next month.
Yep. You want to throw the graphic up there real quick? So next month, 1 month from now, we have a actually live remote happy hour that we're going to be doing in Plano, Texas, at a restaurant, Mexigo Restaurant and Club. It's in Plano, Texas. We're going to be doing a live remote. Law Nation's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Big Game James. We're also going to have a special guest computer from 3-6 Mafia. You'll hear him on 1310 The Ticket during the Cowboys season. So we're going to have a packed show. We're going to do a live remote. We're going to have some Q&A and all that. You'll have food and drink. I think it's happy hour pricing on drinks. As long as you come in and tell them you're there. Happy hour drink prices the whole night. And I think $5 or $6.
Yes, indeed, and I already know.
That. Happy hour drinks.
Big Game hour. James, he already said he gonna open up that Big Game wallet, boy, for the ladies. Well, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep my reservations out on that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Hey, everybody! I really thank everybody for tuning in. That's been our time, guys, and you already know you are listening to nothing but the best. Salute. We out. Peace. Bye.